Danny Elfman has worked with director-producer Tim Burton for more than 30 years. The film Edward Scissorhands was their fourth film collaboration. This video will have spoilers in it, by the way, so you've been warned. Let's continue. The film tells the modern fairy tale of a kind, childlike, Frankenstein-esque creature called Edward. Oh, and he's got scissors for hands. Tim Burton said the film was about the feeling of sadness that you get when you are misunderstood by people. The score hones in on this idea, especially when it comes to Edward's theme and the freedom theme. I'll be analysing the film score to see how it represents the sadness that comes when you're misperceived by people, and also the yearning to be seen and understood. Hello and welcome to the Film Music Junkie. I analyse film scores to see how they are emotionally manipulating an audience. My name is Oleta and let's just stand in the middle of a buffalo stampede and hope for the best, shall we? Let's go. The film was written by Caroline Thompson. She based the story on a picture that Tim Burton gave her of Edward Scissorhands, and then she was like, "Ooh, inspired!" Wrote the whole story. Here are some important words she has said about the film. Edward is a metaphor for your community, but it was also a metaphor for every community and for every person on the planet. I believe every person on the planet feels misunderstood and feels like an outsider and feels like they don't belong. Feels like they are not heard, and feels like they don't have a voice. She also said that she based the character Edward on her dog. If you've been around a dog for enough time, you start to understand it, its mannerisms and stuff like that. You can't talk to a dog about how, the lizards are taking over, but they do have personalities and they're very expressive with their eyes and their sort of the eyebrow bit, here and when you call a dog and it goes... Most well-trained and cared-for dogs are an absolute treasure to be around. But just like humans, they can cause harm unintentionally and intentionally. This sums up Edward's character. His appearance makes people fear him, even though he's an absolute sweetheart. This creates a great sadness within Edward. It also amplifies his longing to be understood. How does Edward's musical theme help to hold up this idea? Let's have a gander now, have a quick look at the score, see how, Danny Elfman does his magic. The first time we hear Edward's theme is when an old granny is telling her granddaughter about Edward as part of a bedtime story. The theme starts when the old woman says the name Edward, which is pretty cool. It makes sure the audience associates this theme with Edward early on in the film because it follows him through his story arc. Now, this motif is simple and it matches the childlike temperament of Edders. I'm going to call them Edders now. Here's the melody. Look at its contour. It's reaching upwards and then it flows down again. It matches how Edward wants to reach out to people. He wants to show affection through touch, but he pulls back because of his scissor hands. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It goes... He's like, ooh, oh no, my scissor hands. Such a sad film. I'm actually getting a bit emotional. The crescendo and then the diminuendo through the phrasing also goes with that reaching and retracting idea. Louder than quieter, louder than quieter. The harmony also matches this idea. The shape of the chord changes also has a wave-like quality to it. It's E flat major to G minor, then E flat major, G minor, G minor 7 over B flat, A flat major over E flat, then G minor over B flat, then B flat 7. Yeah, so the harmonies also matching this reaching and retracting idea. My favourite part of the theme though is the cadence at the end. It finishes on the dominant 7th. It's an imperfect cadence and this matches perfectly with Edward's inner struggle. Imperfect cadences sound unresolved, incomplete. And who's not fully complete? 3, 2, 1. Oh, 3, 2, 1. Edward. Edders, I mean. The inventor died before he was able to attach hands to him. The chord before the dominant 7th chord is a chord inversion. And chord inversions usually want to resolve to a strong sounding chord. The minor chord inversion resolves onto a not so strong chord, the dominant 7th chord. And it really feels like it needs to resolve. But the cheeky f***er doesn't resolve it. He keeps us floating in like a harmonically unresolved sensory deprivation tank I don't know how to explain it. He just keeps us floating, wanting it to resolve, but he doesn't. Cheeky fucker. And this is what Edward feels like all the time. He's in an unresolved sensory deprivation tank of doom. The imperfect cadence is heard when we see Edward looking out of the window onto the town. He longs to go down there, but he can't. And let's not forget he was gifted with the curse of immortality. So he's just floating in this deprivation tank of despair forever. That's pretty harrowing, just saying. Let's have a look at the instrumentation. The melody is being sung by the human voice. This instrument, the human voice, to me is the most intimate instrument. It's the most important tool you use when you're conveying feelings to another. And listening to someone sing connects them to you and you to them. To me, the choice for Edward's motif to be sung by a choir makes the thematic line of the movie, the yearning to be understood, feel universal, since a choir is just a bunch of people singing together. Also, Edward wishes he could be part of society, so having a choir sing here sort of rubs it in his face that he actually can't do that. Like, haha, sorry Edders. We have a lovely cor anglais doubling the melody an octave lower. I just gotta say, yeah, cor anglais sounds fucking beautiful. Had to say it. Sorry, had to say it. Yeah, go and have a listen to Dvorak 9, the cor anglais solo, or Shostakovich 8. There's a nice cor anglais solo in there as well. That's your homework. Its timbre is melancholy and mellow. Yeah, if you don't say timbre in a wanky way, you're not a musician. You have to say timbre. And when a player uses vibrato on it, I cry. It's used a few times in the film, and it matches the emotions behind Edward's huge eyes. There are harp arpeggios here. Ah, my jaw. They smoothly go between the chord changes due to the notes being either in the arpeggio sequence or tonally next to each other. This helps to marry the chord changes together in a seamless manner. Yeah, my cat's licking its arsehole in front of me, you absolute pervert, Scaramouche. Think of the lyre that soothed, what's his name, Cerberus, the three-headed dog, or the harp used in the Jack and the Beanstalk story. And it's a trope used in pantomimes and stuff when there's a magical spell going on, or there's like a flashback. It's for sure an overused trope, but here in the score it helps to represent the childlike quality of Edward. The simplicity of the rhythm used and the arpeggiated nature also tie into this. Then towards the end of the cue we have tremolo strings to represent the snow. Not sure about you, but when I was younger I used to read the last few sentences of a book that I was about to start reading from the start. I know, I'm a cabbage, but some films do this as well. This film is told in retrospect, so all the emotions explored in the film have already happened. The music here does the same thing. It's given us the emotional state of Edward in the present. Now it's the task of the audience to find out what he went through to feel this way. Pretty awesome storytelling, if you ask me. Another time we hear Edward's theme is when he sees photos of Kim, his romantic interest. The audience aren't 100% sure if Edward has any malicious motives before this scene. Here, the audience now knows that Edward is capable of feeling deep emotion. This scene is important because it somewhat shows Edward sort of deifying Kim before meeting her. This makes Edward very human to me because, you know, as humans, we deify everything. Oh my god. See what I did there? So when they meet, his idea of her doesn't match with his preconceived notion. Yeah, I'm gonna not psychoanalyze these characters too much because that's for other channels to do, you know what I mean? The music here is highlighting and foreshadowing the connection he's going to have with Kim. He has a innocent, prepubescent attraction towards her. And this is how Danny Elfman captured this idea musically. The tempo is fast, but the notes in the melody fill the bar, giving it a much slower, drawn-out feel. This matches the puppy-like curiosity that Edward has towards these pictures of Kim. The instrumentation is completely stripped back compared to the previous cue. This helps to create a more simplistic sound. It ties into the idea that Edward doesn't have the emotional intelligence of a sovereign adult. The simplistic melody also ties into this idea. The lower strings adds a warmness to the sound. They crescendo then diminuendo, which is similar to the horns in the first cue. It resembles the warm feeling you get when you see a pretty person or have a small release of oxytocin. Not too much, but just a sprinkle of oxytocin, you know what I mean? So here the music is establishing the importance of the relationship between Edward and Kim. Interestingly, there's no theme for Kim playing here. Just like how this is a point of view shot, the music is representing the world through Edward's eyes. I'm going to skip right to the ice dance now. There's another theme in this film and it's pretty significant. I want to call it the freedom theme or the acceptance theme. Either one. Yeah, here we go. It's the theme heard in Ice Dance, which is played alongside Edward's theme, and it's also dotted around the film. It can be argued that this is Kim's theme, but I think it's commenting on a much broader concept. I can't memorise this sentence, so I'm just going to read it straight from here. The yearning to be seen, understood, accepted, and loved is realised in this theme. That's a simple sentence, why couldn't I remember it? For a few moments, Edward feels truly free because he's been accepted by Kim. But before they can start, being more intimate with each other, the wanker of the film comes in and breaks it up. So this cue is about Edward feeling some sort of self-acceptance, and it also comments on his gratitude towards being able to contribute to society. Let's see how Edward's theme matches this. The texture is pretty big. It captures the feeling of contentment / when you are having like a peak experience, one of those type of things. The two of them feel whole, and this full texture resembles that. The use of tremolo strings depicts the snow. There are descending arpeggiated patterns in the celeste and harp, which also resembles snow. There's a counter melody in the choir boy section. Oh, in ancient times. Oh, I can't sing for shit. Sorry. It starts with a non-chord note. The chord underneath is B minor, and the non-chord note is G, making it have the sound of an appoggiatura. The tension and release of this note creates a bittersweet feeling. It suggests to the audience that even though these two characters are in their prime, this will be the peak, the absolute peak of their happiness, if that makes sense. I think it does. If not, let me know, and I'll clarify it in the comments, okay? Cool. Yeah, I love that counter melody, and I wish I could sing it. That was alright. There's another melody going on there, and it's in the goddamn cor anglais, doom vibrato, making me cry. This melody is heard in another cue later on, but I'll gut that fish when I catch it. Just using, fish jokes now. That's where I've got to in this lockdown, using fish jokes. Yeah, putting this little cor anglais melody here is planting the seeds, so when you hear it later on, it'll have a bigger impact. Here you've got brass swells in here, melody in the female choir, imperfect cadence at the end. So to me, this is the most important scene of the film and the most important bit of music, and you'll see why later, because it returns. The next cue is called Death, and it's heard in a flashback scene. We find out that Edward was about to get hands, but the inventor died before he could attach them. The freedom theme is heard here also, and that's just to hammer home that he was close to becoming human. Edward's theme here represents his sadness towards the death of his father figure and the death of his opportunity to be accepted by society. It also comments on the importance of touch when you are showing affection towards someone. The texture is quite stripped back, which represents the vulnerability of Edward in these two moments. The moment where he lost everything, and the moment he realises that he is capable of showing love through touch. The slow tempo allows for each note of the theme to resonate. The slide down onto the third note from the second note amplifies the sadness Edward feels by the death of the inventor. The tubular bell is a trope used when death occurs. Think of funeral bells and shit. Here in this context, it creates a sense of finality. This is fitting because Edward is now forever cursed with his Scissorhands. The stripped back nature of this cue also reflects the gentle care that Edward takes towards gently stroking his father figure's face. There are repeated patterns in the Celestine harp. The delicate sound it creates matches the care that Edward is taking when he's stroking his father's face. The texture then thickens when it cuts back to the present. This represents his realisation that he is capable of touch, that's the word, I forgot what it was. He spent so many years on his own, and this hug means absolutely everything to him. The chords in the horn, bassoon and bass clarinet playing in their mid to low register add warmth to the lower part of the music. Okay, another sentence I can't say. Here we go. Having fuller chords at the cut between the flashback and the present sonically creates a distinction between him feeling like he will never be accepted to him being accepted by Kim. And that goddamn cor anglaise in there again, make me cry. And there's a high string harmonic soaring on top. And if sadness had a sound, yeah, I'd say it's a string harmonic. It has a cold tone to it and it fits perfectly in the context of this scene. The next cue is called Farewell. It's heard when Kim and Edward have to part ways. The chords of Edward's theme are nicely timed with him looking into Kim's eyes. The chords are in the higher strings and the notes are in their mid-range. They portray the feeling of acceptance, a relaxed acknowledgement of the truth. If the notes were in a higher register, that would suggest hope. And there's no hope. Give up on hope. There's no hope here. And then the cor anglais comes in and pierces my heartstrings again. Thank you, Elfman. What's cool about this part of the scene is that there's very limited dialogue. The visuals alone here can't fully supply the emotional intent of the scene independently. So the music here takes the role of supplying the emotional messages alongside the visuals. The cor anglais doesn't trample over the dialogue because the dialogue is so sparse. Yeah, this is something to look out for, fellow composers, if you're watching and you're a composer for film. This is sort of a public service announcement from me as a person who watches films and writes music for films. Yeah, keep out the way of the dialogue sonic space, unless it's an artistic choice to trample over the dialogue, because dialogue is the most important thing unless it's an artistic choice to write over it. This then leads into Kim telling Edward she loves him. We hear the freedom theme here. All he wanted was someone to love him, scissors and all. His telos is now complete. He's satiated. The freedom theme is commenting on this. This is why the major to minor chord progression works so well. It matches the bittersweet feeling that Edward has at this point in the film. He is loved but can't be with his loved ones. So sad but beautiful. The finale cue is where Edward's theme is heard in its biggest version. We return to the old grandma, old Gam Gam, who we find out is actually old woman Kim, talking about her experience with Ed. Her granddaughter asks how does she know if Edward is still alive. Kim said that it only started to snow every year after Edward went back up to the castle. The camera moves to the castle where we see Edward's ice carvings. Ice carving is how Edward expresses himself. But more importantly, the snow emitted from them is his way of symbolically showing gratitude through touch. He can't hug Kim, but he can thank her with his snow blasts. It's referencing back to the ice dance where both of them felt truly free. Let's see how Elfman captures these ideas musically. So again, there are tremolo strings and descending ostinati lines to depict the snow. The violins are playing very high and this reflects the magnitude of Edward's gratitude. They play the most two important notes of Edward's theme, the second and third note. The fall down onto the second note is a compositional device called a pianto, or pianto, I don't know, it's Italian and not Italian. And pianto means cry or tears. It reflects Edward's unrealised desire to be accepted by society. If the second note went upwards, it would create a sense of hope, and there's no hope. As I said, hope is dead. I think, who said that? Nietzsche? How do you say his name? Nietzsche? I think it's Nietzsche or Nietzsche, I don't know. The full brass swells here represent his strong feelings of gratitude. The flutes and clarinets are doing the counter melody in octaves to create that tension and release, bittersweet feel. This then crescendos into the freedom theme, which represents Eddie's self-acceptance. Yeah, let me show you my real voice, because this is a persona that I put on for the camera, because I'm pretty boring, and I like it. And then I put the persona back on, you know, when we say goodbye and everything. Okay. I think the reason why this film resonates with such a large number of people is because everyone is Edward Scissorhands. Everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to you know, feel like they belong, want to be touched, want to be hugged. And yeah, we were told we weren't allowed to do that for a whole year. Anyway, back into the Persona. If you listen to this score without the film, it still gives the goosebumps because it just holds so much emotional messaging. Yeah, what a great film and score. Arigato gozaimasu, Danny Elfman and Tim Burton and Caroline Thompson. Thank you. Yeah, that's all I could be bothered to write, so that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to dance, you know, do all your moves. And if you want, subscribe, because I'll be very grateful. But if not, that's fine. Go live your life. Take care. Bye.